Coming up this week on the Digital Lifestyle Show 864, Richard's back, and we've got a great show. We've got lots to talk about. We'll be talking about Alexa technology that could be a little bit creepy. We're talking about how Janet Jackson could destroy your computer. We're talking about Windows 11, electronic music, all sorts of stuff. So let's get straight to Richard. Richard, good evening.
Good evening, Ian. How are you?
Good. Welcome back.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, a couple of weeks away. No Gary tonight. He's busy off family duties, but I'm glad that you're back from your family duties and various
exactly.
things.
Yes, being a parent basically is what it's called. Being a parent. Someone say child minding. It's basically being a parent. That's what you want to do sometimes, as you know.
Yes. Although less and less of it nowadays. It's more, well, as you know, with the older kids, it's more expensive as they get older.
Yes, that's certainly true.
Yeah. Oh, it still gets it. I fitted a camera in my son's car at the weekend and that kind of stuff. So at least it's still got some uses for. Showing him how to do some parking as well. But anyway, yes, I'm glad you're back. So we've got lots to talk about this week. I've got a couple of interesting items, and we had a new build, and I've just seen something from the old New Thing blog as well, which looked quite interesting. So I can talk about that as well. Interesting. I've been doing. It's funny, isn't it? I posted some stuff over the weekend on Twitter, and you do lots of things. I spend time making the music and posted them, and maybe I do a video about something. I post that, and you get a few bit of reaction. I put a picture of a tomato that I picked from the garden, and I've had more retweets of that than any other tweet I've done for about 6 months. So there you go. So perhaps it shows my audience, or it shows what content they like. So forget the music, forget the tech stuff, just concentrate on tomatoes. So
exactly.
yeah. So the tomatoes are going well. I'm liking the very nice sunshine, but I'm hoping to get more tech likes than tomato likes at the moment. But anyway. Still lots of things to talk about this week. We've got some builds and some Samsung devices. I'll tell you, I don't know if you've seen, the old New Thing blog is a great blog, and I know you've mentioned this numerous times on the show. I don't know if you've seen Raymond Chen's latest post.
Oh, is this the one about Janet Jackson?
Yes, I thought that would be a good one to start the show.
It's brilliant. Yes, it's a Windows XP story, isn't it? Yes,
yes.
Although, again, as you say, I would hardly recommend anyone who's got any interest in history to follow the Raymond Chen old New Thing blog. Just really kind of a bit of history. Him, Dave Plummer's YouTube channel, Dave's Garage. They're all great history things, but always amusing anecdotes. This is a particularly good one. It's the one where I think it's when people were playing the music video for Rhythm Nation, Windows XP, on certain models of laptops would crash, and it turned out it was it a resonant frequency thing where it was like it was the same frequency as a 5.5 or 5,400 RPM hard drives. For those who remember those spinning discs instead of the SSDs, and I'm sure we're using today. But yes, it would play and it would crash. I think the manufacturer in question had to stick in some sort of filter in the audio pipeline to kind of remove the frequencies from playback, so it couldn't take down the drive.
Yeah, that's maybe what I'm finding. I just shared it on the screen as well, including show it, is that it doesn't have to be the laptop that you play the music on either. No,
not at all. It's just if it's audible.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That,
which is it's almost science fiction, isn't it? Really? Or you kind of think that would be a plot point of one of the Tom Cruise Mission Impossible films. He's not Janet Jackson in Data Center, and then then it all goes.
Yeah, it's like that, like some sci-fi film where you take it, where they have to play it at the right point, and you've been watching it as a tech enthusiast saying this is ridiculous. There's no, this is a crazy plot line. This is but anyway, it's true. Yeah. So somewhere in the code of those, I guess did they put them in the driver for the drive or something? I guess, but somewhere in there is the frequency of Rhythm Nation. I don't know why it's particularly Rhythm Nation.
I guess somewhere in that song is that particular frequency.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely brilliant. So I'm actually think I might get that up on my phone and see if I can find some old laptops and see if I can crash some old laptops with it, because it's probably all been patched.
Well, yeah, exactly, and it's only a certain model of the 5400 IPOM drive. Although it is vaguely alarming that a relatively normal speaker can produce a frequency that can take out a drive. That's a bit alarming, but of course we are talking 20 odd years ago now.
Yes, I suppose we are, aren't we? Yeah. An interesting story, but it goes to show that not many, they wouldn't have experienced that in the user testing.
No, I suppose not. I'm not quite sure what they played. Probably something by Wagner, I imagine.
Yeah. So I thought that was quite funny. So I thought that was a good one to start the show. And I came across an article that I thought you'd be interested. You might have seen interesting, from Fast Company, about the Amazon's dead grandma Alexa. Have you heard of this one?
No, I've not. Go on, tell me more.
So, Amazon are developing the AI within their devices now. So basically, you can have your grandma read you the Wizard of Oz, even though she's no longer around, which sounds like something from a Black Mirror episode.
That's a bit creepy.
Yeah, and they used a 1 minute audio segment from the grandma to analyze the voice, and then it could then create effectively a deep fake of the voice using that technology. But I wasn't not so much impressed by the fact that they can do it, but it's the use cases and the what hell can this unleash with having this. I mean, if it takes a minute for AI now to analyze it and fool someone, then where does that leave us?
Yeah, I must admit, that's creepy as all heck, isn't it? Really. Ooh.
Yeah. So.
But I guess, I mean, deep fakes are an issue. I guess this is kind of another application of the deep fake tech. But yeah, I mean, I think I'd find it very creepy. Yeah, it's although that said, I mean, I don't know about you, but I, after various loved ones have passed away, I do tend to keep voicemails on phones for a long time, which I know is perhaps not the healthiest of things to do in the world.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I'm not even sure. Even if I had access to the technology and could do it with with family members' voices or something like that, you could perhaps someone that died 20 years ago, if you've got their recording, or you've got John Lennon's recording, or you've got going further back, Queen Victoria's recording, whatever. It's just too weird, isn't it, to think of the applications of that. I mean, it's quite nice seeing, it's quite nice seeing or hearing a voice of someone on a tape, or you found in a cupboard or something like that, and that has kind of got a sentimental value. But to analyze it and then to reproduce it and use it in an application just seems really weird. And
it does seem weird, yeah. I mean, I remember a few years back that they were saying that if only they had a few more recordings of Stephen Hawking's voice, they could have had his voice box use his actual real voice, or have it would sound like him. And I think he was quite against that. He quite liked his the robot voice.
Yes, that was because I think I remember reading that they said they could certainly improve the voice that he had, because it was like late 80s, wasn't it, when that voice?
Yeah.
But he said that was his voice. So he didn't want an updated, synthesized one. But yeah, really, really weird. I know they used some similar technique on the Mission Impossible film. No, sorry, Top Gun, the new Top Gun film with Val Kilmer.
Oh yeah, because obviously Val Kilmer can't speak anymore, can he?
No. I won't
now be careful for spoilers.
Yeah, but yeah, they have used some technology for that, and with its permission. They've not. It's not the same as someone that's not around to give permission. But even so, it's a good use. It's useful. I imagine for.
Yeah, I mean, without wishing to spoil the film too much, I'd say the way they dealt with that character, and also the actor, was actually really, really good.
Yeah,
I mean, it was extremely good.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I just want to say, I just enjoyed that film full stop. It was glorious, really. It was just a just pure escapism. So I can see why it's done quite as well as it has.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I did really enjoy the film as well. And as much as we love the technology and everything else, I think the fact that I think a lot of them were practical effects as opposed to CGI, it give you that. I don't know whether it's as good as CGI gets, you can still tell, or whether it was the fact that I knew it wasn't CGI beforehand, so it didn't matter. But anyway, it really did make it feel a lot more powerful.
It was great, although I felt it went on a bit at the end because I know the last half hour or so I began thinking to myself, well, that would never happen, well, that wouldn't happen, that would never work. And as soon as you start thinking that in any film, you think, the film appears to be losing me now. Right, I must clamber out of my own bottom and get back to enjoy the popcorn.
Yeah, it's a good film though, definitely worth it.
Definitely worth it.
Especially the opening.
Yes. Oh yeah. It's a real. Although I mean, I can barely remember the previous film. I still enjoyed it. It's great. I mean, the people I saw with, I think some it was their second or third time watching it. So it's just great fun.
I watched the original on the Friday night and then went to see it on the Saturday afternoon. So it was sort of fresh in my mind, which is why I enjoyed. I think especially the opening bits.
And did you look at Tom Cruise and think he's actually older than me? Oh.
yeah. I did actually.
No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could fly one of those things, if I had the chance.
Yeah, I'm not sure I could do the beach sports, if I'm honest. It wouldn't be nice.
No.
Nobody need to see that.
No. And actually, moving on from the Amazon, talking of movie, I mentioned this to Gary, I think it was last week, but I did want to mention the TV show that I'm currently watching is Sandman.
Oh yes, Netflix. Don't spoil it. I'm up to episode 5.
Which that's the one I watched the other night.
I'm told it's the one in the diner, and I'll say no more.
Oh yes. Oh well, I'm on episode 6, which has got to be my favourite one so far. So I know I mentioned it the other week, but I am really enjoying it. As me and one of my sons in particular are enjoying it. I think we tend to have them as sort of early evening viewing where most of the times the lads are, like they go and do their own thing, but occasionally we'll sit and watch an episodic show like that. We watch Fringe over a period of time, and then we watch some shows like that as a family kind of show, and we're really enjoying it. I think not sure my wife's following it exactly, but I think we do this too. We make her watch these shows sometimes.
Well, I think what's good about it is I must admit I must have read it, I think, but I can't remember the source material at all now. But I am enjoying the show very much.
Yeah, it's really good, and we've mentioned the CGI and stuff. The CGI in that is actually very good.
Yes, it is. They spent a lot of money, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I won't give anything away for any new episodes, but the episode 6 particularly is a CGI light one, but really well done. So a really good episode.
Say no more, thank you. No more.
Yeah, really good. Just really enjoy. I'm enjoying the pacing of it as well. It's we've got used to kind of watching some of these Marvel shows, which they're a bit formulaic, whereas this isn't. This is a bit different.
It's very different, exactly. I mean, I've just come to it having watched a whole bunch of Marvel shows, Marvel TV shows, and it's very different. A lot of the Marvel shows tend to have a sag in the middle, and this hasn't really sagged, but it's been completely different stories every episode. A whole new range of actors, in every episode, which I found really good. It's like, so we're not going to see that person again. No, that person's now gone. I'm going to move on to next part. So I'm just intrigued to see where it goes. Although that's speaking of other films, I had anything experience last night. I watched 2 Pixar films, and a lot of people have been moaning about the Buzz Lightyear film. Lightyear saying it's all right, and I watched it, and it was I thought this is okay. Actually, quite enjoying this. And then I watched Soul for the first time after it. I thought, yes, I see why people are complaining now, because Soul is just an amazing film, whereas Buzz Lightyear is it's right, it's okay. It's fine. Whereas Soul, I thought, this is quite incredible, really. I'm quite moved by this film. So, interesting. But yes, we have so many choices to us, thanks to our various streaming platforms, as long as we keep paying for them. And obviously, Sandman's on Netflix.
Yes.
Pixar films are on Disney Plus and Amazon Prime. And I still think once I'm through Sandman, maybe The Crown, I think Netflix might be the one that gets the chop.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's just so many, and as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I got the Sky box, the Sky Q box. So Sky Netflix built into that as well, and Amazon and Disney Plus. So it's kind of replaced my Xbox now. So I'm just using that one device now. It's it's my media center really. I've finally got it. It's costing me a fortune, but
I mean, do you think we're going to actually start to see a move back to media center type things? Because certainly with the cost of all the streaming services, I'm thinking, well, you know what, I could just buy a TV box set on Blu-ray or something. That would probably cost me the same as 2 months worth of subscriptions, or I don't know, and then just rip them and watch them back, or.
I don't think so. I think we're in this model now. Maybe we'll see some consolidation. For example, with Sky, I pay for my Netflix through the Sky account now. Didn't used to, but since I've got the Q box, you trade it. So effectively,
I mean, Sky can be very expensive, especially if you go for Sky Sports. I mean, that's really expensive now.
Yeah, I just only got the F1 on there, but it is expensive, but now I'm paying. So I've got that one-stop solution for everything now, but it's costing. Well, I don't pay for Disney or Amazon. The lads pay for that. So, but I pay for Netflix and Sky. So, I've got Spotify on there. I've got iPlayer on there. So it's doing pretty much what Media Center I wanted it to do back in the day, but it's just costing me. It's costing me a lot of money. Where Media Center costs nothing apart from your MPEG-2 decoder.
Exactly, yeah,
and your content, I suppose.
And of course, you try and watch some things, and you watch some streaming services, and they're absolutely jam packed with adverts as well. Which I always find aggravating. I mean, especially on Sky. Actually, it's one of the reasons why I wouldn't have a Sky subscription, because I think when I'm paying a subscription and yet you're still making me watch adverts, just seems to be quite irksome.
Yeah.
Although that said, I've been told of a few things. I know a person who's been using a Pi-hole to do ad blocking. Obviously, ad blocking, you have to think very carefully about your ethics if you think it's appropriate to block ads, because obviously they're paying for content. But he used a Pi-hole and discovered that not only did it stop ads on web pages, which again, you need to consider your personal opinions on that, he found it also began to block ads through things like the on-demand channels.
Mm.
So suddenly everything began to go a lot faster. So
that's quite interesting.
But again, I mean, if you start to block ads, they're usually there for a reason.
Yeah, and in fact, it's for the ads. We were going to watch Chuck, but it's only on. Yeah, I've seen it before. We were going to watch it, but it's only on ITV Hub, and it's virtually it's impossible to skip the ads on it. It was a pretty poor user experience, so we gave up on that one. So it did look a bit dated, I must admit, as well.
It doesn't take it. But I would say sort of the Channel 4, is it All 4? I think it's called.
Yeah.
And ITV Hub. The problem with them is it's not only the amount of ads you get, and you do get a lot more. It feels like there's more ads on that than on broadcast TV. It's the repetition.
Yeah.
Really, it's the same block of ads again. You know what? I wasn't interested last time. I'm less interested now, and I've got a personal rule that whenever anything I'm watching is it's unexpectedly interrupted for yet another ad of the same thing, I think I'm never going to go near that product ever, because I'm just irritated by it now. I say it in my head with irritation. So I don't know if I'm alone there now, if that's a common thing, but I think companies need to be very careful with ads, because if you turn off users, then you're going to just have to put more and more and more ads to get the same revenues in, and it almost feels like it's an exponential curve of just sticking more and more ads in, because the ads you have got are generating less revenue, so you need to put more and more and more in. So tricky one really. And of course, going back to our content, we're seeing more and more ads in Windows, aren't we?
Yes, we are. Yeah, they're and you've got things. Ads for apps, the apps themselves. I mean, they're pushing a lot of the default apps on a clean install, aren't they? Like Disney Plus is there as a default essential app. In fact, I think it's in the essential section.
That's right. And I mean, we all remember the chaos around all the complaints around Candy Crush when that turned everywhere, and here we are again. But you also find things like you can be using Microsoft applications, and you'll find a little yellow strip at the top saying, "Have you considered using this service?" And think, hello. So
In fact,
adverts.
No, I think Microsoft are redesigning OneDrive apps, aren't they, and pages, and I think they've got well, one man's app is another man's integration, but I think there's a lot of integration stroke app advertising in the clients. For example, I think they're pulling through from pretty much how it looks in Office 365, where you can see your applications. But I'm not sure what happens if you've got a OneDrive and you're not an Office 365 subscriber, because it really does push the Office products in these new views.
Yes, certainly. And whenever again, this is perhaps how Microsoft is done, but whenever I hear the words Microsoft has redesigned a thing, I think, oh, I wonder what they've taken out and how it's been made worse this time.
Yeah, yes. I think this is just a UI update, yeah. But actually, I think it was last week, wasn't it? It was 15
years of OneDrive, or
yeah,
although it's SkyDrive.
And I did read the blog post about it, Microsoft blog post about it, and they don't mention the word SkyDrive anywhere.
Well, yes, I mean, I bet they're always reading. So
yeah,
obviously called SkyDrive or Live Mesh either, for that matter. So
no, they never even mention the fact. They say Microsoft launches its cloud storage system in 2007. Yeah, it was Live Mesh before it was SkyDrive.
Exactly, yeah, and they also did mention the whole. Well, I think when I had my first proper rant about placeholders. And,
yes, yeah.
Files on demand.
Files on demand, 2017.
Yeah, I think the placeholders thing was just that was the point where I think they just went a bit power crazy and just stopped listening to users. All around that time, they just simply stopped listening to users. And then I think we all know what happened with Windows 10 after that. It would have been a bit pear-shaped for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
But yes, I think certainly I look back. I think placeholders was a thing that they yanked out. Everyone loved it, and they just pulled it, and then they didn't, and they didn't replace it with it. And the instruction was, well, you just have to be more careful how you store stuff. Okay, and they've also, the other thing they've done as well is they've really been stingy with storage, because having briefly had the unlimited storage, which a few people have used, they then slapped on the limits. I think it's about one terabyte, I think, is what you get if you subscribe.
Yeah, if you subscribe, yeah.
And you've got to pay a lot of money to make it up to 2 terabytes if you want that. And it's just, that was okay a few years ago, but you think, well, things have moved on. You really need to start increasing those limits. It seems that they're starting to feel a bit low, even though, you think when it was like measured in gigabytes, you think, well, crikey, that's huge. No one's going to need, no, nobody will ever need that much storage. Now it's like, well, actually, 1 terabyte, that's smaller than my hard drive, so it's not feeling quite so capacious as it might want to have done. So I think for subscribers, they should have celebrated their 15 years not by making the home experience a bit nicer, and you might get it at some point in the future and it rolls out and you'll think, oh, it looks a bit different and strange. They should have celebrated 15 years of OneDrive and said, yay, we're going to double your storage.
Yeah, because it's not really going to cost them anything. I mean, I know there's storage, but yeah, come on, you said storage is cheap now.
Storage has gone down in price. I mean, even with the supply chain issues and things, storage has gone down. The cost of storage is going down, and yet that hasn't been passed on. And what's actually happened is prices have gone up for Microsoft for cloud storage. So now I've said a lot of negative things there. We'll also say I'm a OneDrive user, and it works fantastically well. So just to be clear there, it does work well, but I think it's also okay to say it would be nice if you could do that as well. And I don't know why they haven't increased the storage. It just seems to be just an odd thing to be stuck with this limit for as long as we have been. They should really have increased it. And I think they missed a good opportunity to increase it last week.
Yeah, maybe they would get complaints from antitrust from other drive providers, storage providers.
I don't think so. I mean, they already have. I mean, they've already been looked into in Europe because of the bundling of OneDrive with Windows. I don't think the storage capacity would be an issue. I think what's going to cause the regulators to look hard at it is the bundling of OneDrive with Windows. The way you're now being forced more and more, particularly in Windows 11, you're really being driven towards OneDrive. If you're a storage service, hey, here's OneDrive. Have you got OneDrive? Hey, OneDrive's here. Use OneDrive, and you kind of you're being pushed towards it. I know there are companies in Europe like Nextcloud who would who I think quite rightly say, well, that's not very fair because you're driving customers a certain way. And I know the European regulators are taking a very close look at that. But I think that's an indicator of Microsoft perhaps being a bit, the different portions of Microsoft are there's infighting happening. So while you probably have the legal side of Microsoft, maybe even some the coders technical say, "Oh, crikey, we should be doing this," and then marketing says, "No, let's do that instead," and you have this kind of butting of heads going inside. That's kind of what it feels like. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's it's good stuff. I like you said, I use OneDrive all the time. So
I'll take both of them because I do use it all the time. I have to say, Windows 11 is really slick now. And in fact, I'm using it on a Mac on an M1 Mac here in Mac OS, and again, works really well. Just very seamless.
Yeah. Now we did get a new Windows 11 build last week, 25179. Not much on this one. There's not been a lot for a while actually. You can get an ISO of this if you want to do a clean install.
Oh yeah, this is the dev channel one, isn't it?
Yeah. And also Tabs File Explorer is available for everybody finally.
Well, on beta. So is that beta? I think it was.
No, this was on dev. On dev, it
wasn't.
Yeah, on dev, it's been on for a while, but not everybody get it. In fact, my virtual machine didn't have it until this week. So
does beta have the
yes,
the tabs as well? Does it? Doesn't it?
Yes, but release preview doesn't.
Getting very good. Release preview obviously can't. Yeah, because the current rumor is rumor mills churning saying that Windows 11 could be out. I think is it September 20th? I think Zach Bowden said that on one of the pages, but it's that is looking like the date, which seems to be plausible because there's not a lot in it really.
No, there's a few nice things in it. In fact, it's been that long since I did the video, I can't remember them all. But there's drag and drop taskbar, and the start menu's got some folders, start menu folders, and
some new folders are good. Yeah.
So it's got some nice bits in it, but there's not a huge amount.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the real big improvement is going to be those tabs when they finally make it into release. But right now, they are in beta. But
I recorded my what's new in 22H2 video before they released that tab, but I'm still not sure whether to re-record it and include it or not because
I don't think you can until they turn up in release preview. You understand that you can. Yeah. And we're getting to the point now where if they are talking about September 20th as being the release date, then they're not going to make it in. I mean, there's no way they'd bung that in now with 4 weeks to go. Well, I say that. It feels like it's something that could blow up horribly in their face if they did, because File Explorer is such a major part of Windows that if you tinker with that and you're not absolutely sure it's fine, could go awfully wrong. So,
then why put it in beta channel? Why not just leave it in dev?
And that
beta build is going to get promoted to be the release preview one, isn't it? So
this is what I'm wondering if
they can turn it off if they want.
I guess so. If they get the release out and then once the release hits, and then shut beta into release preview, and then there we go. That would make sense. Although we've had some bizarre things with beta seeming to get things, as you said, the tab File Explorer turning up for users in beta before it turned up for them in dev channel up until last week, of course.
Yeah. I'm having to do my builds now on the virtual machine on my laptop because my Surface Go is really dying now. There's huge areas on the touchscreen that don't work properly, and the keyboard won't work at all now. And I don't think it's a hardware fault. I actually wrote an article in 2013 about Surface keyboards, and it's still one of the top viewed posts. But even my own article doesn't fix it because quite often it's a problem with Windows, and then if you go into the BIOS, the keyboard still works in the BIOS, so that means it's just a Windows issue, and I've got a fix for it. But in this case, it doesn't work in the BIOS either. But it started working for about 2 days and then stopped again, so I'm not sure. But anyway, so I've got the strip across the top where the touch doesn't work, and a strip in the middle, and nothing will fix. So I think its days are numbered. I mean, I've had it. Well, it's an original Surface Go, so I've had it for a while. But I like having a physical device to try on rather than the virtual machine. But I think my old Surface laptop will probably be the one for that to promote that one to the dev channel next.
Yeah, and now, frankly, with Windows 11 in particular, there's all kinds of issues with using Surface Go's and stuff because it's not supported hardware. So at some point, it's going to stop working anyway, isn't it? So
exactly.
Give up now.
Yeah.
Just give up now. Buy yet another toy.
Yeah. Well, hopefully there'll be a Surface Go 3 ARM-based one or something like that to talk about something different later this year.
Well, that would make sense because they've done a lot of work with ARM-based stuff. We saw the .NET framework turn up as ARM last week, which was very exciting, really, because it's kind of one of those big things you think, well, that's a big miss right now in terms of porting legacy apps across. You need the .NET framework, and that appearing up for ARM 664, I think, was a very significant move.
Yeah.
Although, again, I guess Volterra must be due any day now. I mean, do you reckon they're saving that up for Ignite?
Yeah, maybe they will. Yeah, and then after that they release a ARM-based Surface Go.
Yeah, yes. I mean, I presume we are due a Surface event as well. Do you reckon the next Surface event will be before or after Ignite? I think Ignite is October, isn't it?
So yeah,
that
could be around then.
Well, if you're gonna, I mean, I guess if they release if they do a Windows 11 release in September, then that would be a time to do a Surface event.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, because and the new Surface comes with the latest version of Windows 11.
Exactly.
Yeah, it would make sense. So maybe then I would get a new Surface Go, but it's a kind of shame. It's been working fine. It's no performance issues. It's just something not right with it. And I don't think I've got a feeling even a factory reset wouldn't do it. If the BIOS is not working, then that's the end of that one. It's done well.
It is sad though, because I mean, as I said to you, I have laptops and things that I put SSDs in more memory in, and they are. Oh crikey! Yeah, sort of getting on for the very well. I think the one upstairs is it's one of the very first Core i7s. So it goes back 10 years, longer, I think. And that absolutely flies. But Windows 11 won't go near it.
Yeah.
Because of hardware compatibility. I think why?
Yeah. But anyway, that's the insider news. We did get.
I guess there was one more
Windows 10 one as well. Go ahead.
Exactly, there was a Windows 10 release preview, which I think, oh crikey, just a little reminder that that's still a thing. Even though I think Windows 10 21H2 was what it was for. It's many just fixes. They had a few things there. They had stuff to make to help endpoint find ransomware better. And I think there was the option for admins to set languages and things on PCs. But there was a lot of fixes in there as well. Stuff like sorting out the Take a Test app, which had a habit of removing lockdown policies after it which is unfortunate. Bearing what it's supposed to be used for lockdown places like schools and things, and a whole other bunch of fixes. So. I mean, Windows 10 21H2 is, I think, last time I checked the figures, it's still the most used operating system.
Yeah.
Windows 10 in Windows world. Windows 11 has grown a bit more, but it's not taken over. So I think we'll see what happens when our Windows 10 22H2 comes out, which again, got to be any week now.
Yes, they're really not. I mean, Gary did talk about this last week, but they're really not pushing the PR on that one, are they? They're keeping it very quiet. There's just a few technical articles about it.
Yeah, they've been very quiet indeed. And I mean, I guess it's difficult because they're in this awkward position where we can't really bang on too much about Windows 10 because you don't want people to use it. You want them to migrate. But equally, you don't want to bang on too much about Windows 11 because people say, well, it's a lot of the hood has changed. Folders and start menu. Taskbar is nicer. Is it like my Windows 10 taskbar? No. So I think Windows 11 will just continue to be the slow burn. I mean, we're now into 2022. It's got about two and a bit years worth of support left.
Yeah.
So I would think in the next year or so, Windows 11 will just take over by virtue of the fact it's going to naturally do so.
Yeah, that's it. But 22H2 for Windows 10 is good for IT admins. I think that's who it's for.
Exactly. Yeah, it's kind of a big roll of all the fixes.
Yeah. So I think I would stick with that. Something else. So incremental updates. I'm a Galaxy Watch user. I'm still using the Watch 2, so I'm not exactly got the latest one. My son's got the Watch 4. But do you see they launched the Watch 5?
I did see that. So what's new in that?
Well, I don't know. I was going to ask you because it doesn't seem to very much when I was reading on it. I think if you're if you're a Watch 4 user or anything like that, there seems to be very little, because I think the jump between the 3 and the 4 was a switch to Wear OS from Tizen. Whereas so 4 is Wear OS based, even though the user interface is Samsung's own. But 5 just continues that. I think it's got better battery lives, improved processor, and not a huge amount. Similar price. I think it was $280. I was having a look at the trade-ins, and I'd seen some people tweeting about the great trade-ins, and they were in the US. You will get like $150 with the Watch 2 or something. I say, oh, that's great. I'll have a look at that. £50 if you've got any smartwatch. That's the only trade-in you've got. So you can have a Watch 4 worth, you pay £280 for last week, and you get £50 trade-in. So they're not exactly generous. I think Samsung's US deals are way better than the European ones and the UK ones. So so I mean, it's one of those things that I thought at first when I thought they're coming out, I thought, oh yeah, I probably should get a new one, because this has been, this is quite old now. But then thought, well, actually, what do I want it to do? I want it to track my heart rate and give me notifications during the day. When I've got on my exercise bike, I want to give me report what happens on that, and the new one's going to do the same thing. There is some other things. I think there's some good in an improved sensor that gives you temperature, and there is another blood oxygen one, I think, as well, and there's another heart measure. So they're improving the sensors on it. But I think if you're training for something and perhaps you need more data, then that'd be good. But I think for me, just as a basic smartwatch, this is okay. I do like the new. I mean, Sun's one, is 4 is very nice. But yeah, £289. It's a lot of money, isn't it, for
it is a lot of cash,
not much of an upgrade. I also saw they've got things like there's Z Flip or Z Flip or whatever I want to call it, the new Flip 4. It looks quite nice, and the new folds look quite nice. I guess they've got a bit of multitasking in there as well, which is quite interesting. That's
it's good because I mean, again, if I was in the market for one, I'd probably look at that, just because it's like a it kind of folds into quite a handy form factor, whereas the ones that fold out like the Joe Jones said, they just seem a bit large. But I quite like the flip folding frame, which kind of folds down to a much smaller size. I quite like that.
Yeah, I noticed the folders. I think I'm not sure if it's Android 13 or 12L that they've got in, but you can split the screen and have have it as acting as 2 screens, just like the Surface is 2 screens. I think on the earlier versions of the Galaxy Fold, it's 1 big screen, but I think with the new ones you can draw down and split the screen and have 2 applications side by side, which is exactly what the Duo is doing. So it's kind of a software version of the Duo, but without the divider in the middle. So it's probably a more elegant solution long term to have 1 big screen that you can split rather than having 2 physical screens.
So when do you think we're going to see the Duo 3? Do you reckon it's going to start to be teased at some point at the start of next year?
Yeah, next year, yeah.
Or might it be cancelled?
It could well be. I don't know. It's such a juggernaut to compete with someone like Samsung, isn't it? For Android, it's they can compete with laptops, like with the Surface laptops, but I just don't know whether they can compete. I mean, just looking at the watch, for example, there's a couple of features that Samsung lock to using Samsung phones. I don't think there's a technical reason. I think because there are people on XDA developers who've got that you can just download a hacked version essentially and put it on your non-Galaxy phone and it'll work. But yeah, it's very difficult competing, but in the smartphone arena, I think against the likes of Samsung and to a lesser degree Google. I think if you look at the Pixels, this is Google with their own devices. I think they struggle, don't they, against Samsung?
Well, they do, yes. I mean, Google is one thing that I find interesting, because I mean, I've always thought with the Surface, the devices, not the mobile phone, but the actual laptops and 2-in-1s. They were kind of Microsoft saying to the other manufacturers, this is how you should be building a PC. Please stop building your dreadful, heavy, nasty, beige things you're doing. Build them like this. And to be fair, it's worked really well. I mean, PCs have improved markedly. Whereas I'm never quite sure with the Surface Duo what they were trying to do with that, because it's not their operating system, so they weren't setting any example to other main manufacturers. And you've already got the likes of Samsung and Apple as a huge big beast in the room anyway. So I've always thought that Google would perhaps have done the same thing as Microsoft did with their Pixel. They said, here's how we think you should build an Android phone, but that doesn't seem to have happened. And Samsung has very much gone their own way.
Yeah. So I think I'm a bit like you. I can see. All right, I use the Surface Duo. I've got the Samsung, but I use the Duo all the time, main phone all the time. Apart from when I was on holiday, and I was glad to get back to it. But that's for me. I think as it's not a general consumer phone, and even every now and again I got, like I mentioned about the watch. There's little things like that you just they don't play as nice as Samsung with Samsung devices, and there isn't a smartwatch to go with it. If only Microsoft had their own smartwatch technology that they that they could, like a band or something like that would be great.
Well, yes, although did I read that they've disbanded the Modern Life team now? Is that right?
I don't know.
I think yes, last week the whole Microsoft Modern Life team was apparently disbanded. Which is slightly concerning for people who are interested in consumer tech, because I thought that was kind of their whole play of trying to get back into the consumer space with the Modern Life Experiences team. But I believe I think it was Business Insider that did the initial report, and they seem to be fairly switch on these things. That Microsoft is laying off team members from that division, which is it's a bit tough, really. It's not it wasn't a big team, but again, when you think about consumer tech and stuff, you think, well, it seems to be shrinking down to it's just Xbox or nothing now for consumers.
Yeah, it's a shame. And I noticed, even I haven't got this in the notes, but I saw an article saying they've taken the word mixed reality out of the business plan or business statement that the shareholders plan. They've changed it to metaverse. I think there's again, HoloLens and other things will disappear.
I do think HoloLens is, with the departure of Alex Kipman, I do think that HoloLens's days are now numbered. Again, it took so long to get HoloLens 2 out, and it's now, we don't know how long, when HoloLens 3 is going to appear. It's quite clear that Facebook is struggling with the metaverse or VR, because we've seen an actual price increase for the Oculus Quest, which is still gobsmacked that they would do that after it's been out for years. Never put the price up, which is just a bit okay. That's not a good sign. But yes, I mean, I think the time of HoloLens has very much been and gone. I think companies will probably prefer something that's more like a Google Glass type experience rather than the full-on HoloLens experience. It's quite a hefty device. It's expensive, and really, I think looking at the use cases I'm seeing coming, people don't really care about the whole visualization of I'll build an engine in front of me. What they actually want is for a person back at base to see what you're seeing through your camera and put messages and things in front of your face. And you don't need something as beefy as a HoloLens for that. So I think we'll see tech, but I think HoloLens as originally envisaged is going to probably, I think, just quietly disappear.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? It's such a promise. And
well, yeah. I mean, I can remember 2019's Ignite event. You had Satch, and then they did on stage with VR stuff and Minecraft in VR, and they were all exciting things, but with a very unfortunately placed, I think it was on an actual carrot, which is a bit unlucky, really. But they do seem to have rolled right back from that, and quite frankly, it's not where they're making money.
No, that's what we know, and that's why we don't have Media Center, and that's why we've not got HoloLens, and that's why we've not got a band, and that's why they're making money hand over fist from the cloud team.
Exactly, they are, because I mean, as enthusiasts, we wish they didn't keep killing off this cool tech, but equally, you think, well, as a shareholder or stockholder, you think, well, doing something right here, because as I say, the cloud team, PC experiences team are making a lot of money. So Windows still brings the cash.
Yeah, and there isn't, to be fair, isn't, like you said, Facebook started run. There isn't somebody else. There are a few niche players bringing out VR headsets, but there's not a mainstream consumer VR headset other than perhaps the PlayStation.
Exactly,
It's just really I think the Facebook one is the closest you've got to that. But even that, I mentioned, I think when my son got his for his gaming PC, I very rarely see him use it. His Quest. He plays on his Xbox, he plays on his PlayStation, but he plays on his PC games, but I very rarely see him on the Quest.
It's true, actually. I've not used my Quest really for a good while now. I mean, occasionally I put it on. Why is this fantastic? Why have I not used it? And then I put it away again. I forget about it. I mean, I've not used it much myself. And I am a big fan of VR, but I've never really with the Quest. I mean, I think perhaps the Quest is in many ways a disappointment after the Rift, because obviously it's a standalone device. You're working with what is effectively a 3-year-old mobile phone behind the screen, and it does feel a bit clunky, and it is an effort to connect it to a TV, or not TV, sorry, a rig, because you need cable and things, and then it's just a bit of a pain, and it works, and sometimes it doesn't work, and then you might use the wireless, which have made work, but it's not as reliable. So yeah, very surprised there's not been a Quest 3, if I'm honest.
Yeah. So perhaps Microsoft may be on the right thing there. I haven't used my HoloLens for a while, but that's not so HoloLens, my mixed reality headset. I haven't used mine for a while, but that's not really to mixed reality. It's just I don't get time to do it, and what spare time I have, I'm usually doing the music stuff now. So yeah, it's just priorities. But it's a shame. It's a shame because it's brilliant technology, and it's amazing when you try it for the first time and you use one of those demo apps. It's fun, where you're in Italy or you're in one of these places, or on the moon, or Mars, and they're fantastic. When you get blown up, it's blown away by it, and even things like project cards and things like that, absolutely amazing. But it's amazing, isn't it? When you suppose if you're given my 12-year-old when I had a Spectrum, your 12-year-old self, look at this, what you're going to be playing in 30 odd years time, I would have been blown away or whatever. But practically now it's like, oh well, yeah, so I could do VR Formula 1. Okay, right, what's next? I tell you one thing I did come across that, and I'll share this, that it is going back a bit, is so I'm going to share see if I can share this. Can you see my screen, Richard? I don't know if you can see this.
Yes, you can. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Hey, look at this.
So I came across this the other day. I was actually this is a Fairlight emulator. That's an application you can download. It's called Quasar Beach, and it's a Fairlight Series 2 emulator, and it's absolutely brilliant. So if anybody doesn't know, Fairlight was this mega system in the early 80s, music system. You've probably seen it if you see any vintage TV clips of Pet Shop Boys stood with a screen, with a keyboard and a light pen with the on top of the pops. It was used by Art of Noise, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Pet Shop Boys. Just about anybody doing electronic music in the 80s used it. It was a sampler and a sequencer, and I thought they were fantastic, but I never actually got to play with one. But I came across this the other day, and there's actually a few of these, but this is a emulation written from the ground up of the Fairlight, and it's absolutely brilliant. It works brilliantly. I've had some proper fun with this. So you've got full disc control. You can load in there. I don't think this will play through my sound card. I'm not sure. I'll give it a try. I'm not sure they'll route through Teams. You have enough trouble getting Teams working, never mind working with a Fairlight. But so here I've loaded the Yes Instrument Bank and the Yes sound files. So if I go through to here, the voice preview, here are the sounds from Yes, Owner of a Lonely Heart. So if you remember the Yes song,
right, yes.
So it's got the orchestral strike that.
Go on, then do it.
I don't think you can hear it. I don't think you'll hear it through here. You can see the waveform going, but you won't. It's going through. It's not even going through my headset, so it's trying to route it through some other sound card. What I'll do is I'm going to use some of the music. I'm going to use it in some music. Actually, let's see if I can put it through my PC speaker, and then you might be able to hear it through there. So let's see. No, you can't hear it. Oh, it's because it's muted. Let's unmute that and try it and see. Oh, there you go. Can you hear that?
No.
You can't hear that at all. It's going through the mic, so maybe it picks it up on Teams. But it's actually but let me go Owner of a Lonely Heart and that one, and then we go to what's called page R, which was the sequencer. And so,
here we go.
So this is the. I don't know if you can hear that through my mic.
Not really.
Teams noise cancellation is probably kicking in.
It is, yeah. I think basically, I can kind of hear a little something in the background when you speak, but when you aren't speaking, I can't hear anything at all.
It's Teams noise cancellation. But anyway, that is Owner of a Lonely Heart. So you've got the guitar, dun, 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 all that kind of thing. So you can spend hours with this playing, take you right back to the 80s. There's loads of sounds you can use. There's what's called a cookbook, which gives you a PDF with loads of instructions on how to get started with it. You can things like Blue Mondays on here, Kate Bush running up a hill with so that sound effect that she got with which is in the one from Stranger Things. It's in Stranger Things, that weird sound that she gets with the lead, which is all in here. And then you can output it to your sound card and you can play it. And yeah, you've got waveform display, I think. So it'll take you right back. Yeah.
Oh, look at that! Now you're talking.
Yeah. So as I play the sound on the keyboard, it works with MIDI as well, so you can hook it up with a MIDI keyboard. So I've used it from my MIDI keyboards, and it'll work with a proper sound card as well, rather than just in your laptop one. So you can actually get it on a decent sound quality with no lag. It's great. The only thing I've not figured out yet is how to capture the output. I think what I'm going to do is capture it back into my sound card. But you can get some great patterns in there. And anyway,
I just love the pixely low resolution. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? And you can customize it quite well. And let's say it works with all modern hardware as well and the interfaces. So there you can see it'll even work with my Jabra headset. So
when will we see your first app competitions on YouTube or Twitter?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'll be using. I've got an idea for some drum patterns that I'll use, and then I'll bring them across into Cubase, then do them in Cubase. So the sequencer is fairly limited by modern standards, but by 1982 standards, it was actually incredible.
That's fantastic, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, so I'm definitely going to have a play with it. If you're interested in seeing how this works, if you go on YouTube, you can see some great Fairlight demonstrations, and a couple of guys fairly recently have done complete recreations of the Pet Shop Boys appearance on the old Grey Whistle test from '85, I think it is, using the Fairlight, proper Fairlights and DX1, and they've recreated the whole performance, showing you how they use the Fairlight. So definitely have a look at those. A great fun. But this is taking me right a massive rabbit hole.
Well, yes, it has. It's great. It's really well. I mean, I always enjoy reading about your exploits with sort of 80s music hardware and stuff, and the various bits and pieces you can pick up now that we dreamt of in the 80s, 90s. It's like, look at one of these, like one of those. I remember those. They were like gold dust. They were.
Yeah, well, this Fairlight was 20 grand in 1981 when it came out. So, yeah, I would, a little 12-year-old me would have watching Top of Pops would have been amazed that I would have one of those and some stuff that I've got in the room now. But yeah, so anyway, I'd recommend to check out that. And also, just a quick plug, I've got if anybody is an Uno drum user, I've got a beta version of the drum switcher. So Uno drum is the little drum machine that I bought a couple of weeks ago, and it has different sounds in there, different sound banks. You download them, and they're effectively a firmware update to swap the sounds out. So you can choose different 70s drum machines, 80s drum machines, and so on. It's a great little machine, this, but you have to run a command line to do the sound banks, and you have to browse folders and things like that. So I made a little UI just to make it a bit easier. So I'm just going to finish testing that off, and then I'll release that. As anybody wants to give it a try, it's just a quicker way of switching sounds. So compare that, and that's got some nice emulations of old drum kits as well, but certainly it's not got a Fairlight. So yeah, so I'm working on that stuff. So I've got some plenty of new material music to release. In fact, I'll play one out on the end of this show. I'm not quite sure which one I do. I've been playing a different one out each week recently, so I'll do that as well. Yeah. Right. Well, that's it. I think from me. From anything else from your side?
That's it for now. I say I should be here next week, but obviously I'm going to the Artemis 1 launch.
Oh yes, you are. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Kennedy Space Center, which is, I believe, as we record, the rocket is supposed to be rolling out. It's the first time they've rolled this massive booster out for launch since the last of the shuttles. So it's quite exciting.
So you're going to be there during the launch?
Hopefully. I'll be there for launch, yeah. So I fly out next Wednesday, and in theory, it could launch on the 29th of August. It's not going to launch. It's no chance. I mean, no chance. It's a brand new rocket in the hurricane season in Florida. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
What could go wrong? Yeah.
Well, they've got 3 chances. So it's 29th of August, 2nd of September, or I think the 5th of September. Are the 3 chances. And if not, it has to go back again.
Oh, right.
Fingers crossed. I'm very excited. So I'm afraid next week, if I'm here, I'll be overexcited.
Giddy mode. Well, hopefully we'll be back. Hopefully Gary should be back with us next week. We might have new builds and things like that. So until then, I'll play some music out. Let us know your Twitter.
You can find me on Twitter at Richard_Speed, mainly talking about Lego. I'm in the process of building the Lego Atari 2600 at the moment.
And I'm at Ice Dixon, talking about tomatoes.
and electronic music.
Yeah, ignore everything else, just concentrate on the tomatoes. You're building a Lego Atari.
Yeah. Well, you know how Nintendo did the NES years back.
Yeah.
Where you had, Lego NES and the TTV, which you'd sort of rotate the landscape behind. Although I've seen a few people actually use a Raspberry Pi, stick that in the TV, and actually create a real NES or an emulated NES. In the Lego TV, which is cool. This is so Lego followed that up with a Atari VCS from obviously the late 70s, early 80s, when they made them with the wooden sort of face and stuff, ship with combat, and so it's a fun. But if you slide the cover out, I mean, it obviously doesn't play games, although they do provide some game cartridges which you build, which look like the old game carts. But if you slide the cover, a 1980s bedroom pops up.
Oh, quite fun.
So it's a bit of nostalgic fun. Anyway, I'll see you on Tuesday.
See ya. Bye.
Cheers, bye.